What's up, everybody? It's Red Dead! Right back with you to review the latest pro wrestling news and results in WrestleMania Live! It's about that time. It's a double shot on Tuesday. A little bit behind schedule, but we are here on Tuesday to do a double shot. Take two on a Tuesday. MEGARANT. First and foremost, TRlPLEMANIA 31 Tijuana. We're going to talk about that in a second. We also will have, after this rant, another MEGARANT. Looking back, a deep dive on everything going on with Impact Wrestling from the weekend. Looking back at Slammiversary, the pay-per-view on Saturday, as well as taking a look back at Impact's post-Slammiversary taping. We're going to take a look at the spoilers and look ahead the next few weeks for Impact Wrestling as we gear up on the next Wrestling Rants road trip that's coming up right around the corner here in about 10 days' time. I'm going back to Chicago, baby, for a double taping of Impact from Cicero Stadium on July 28th and 29th. There's going to be plenty of content right here on this channel. Probably won't spoil a lot of stuff yet on the shows, but entrances will... There'll be plenty of content to go around from those shows right as they're going on. And then later on as weeks progress and the episodes air of Impact, I will probably drop more videos from those shows in Chicago at the end of the month. Also, another Wrestling Rants road trip I want to talk about is on August 7th. That's just another 8 or 9 days after the Impact shows. It's going to be WWE Raw in Minneapolis at the Target Center. I will be attending that show as well. And then to close off the summer, I'm going all the way back to Chicago for a week of all kinds of wrestling shows for All Out Weekend. Catch that again, All Out Weekend. So there is more than just a few shows going on in Chicago Labor Day week into Labor Day weekend. All part of Wrestling Rants road trips coming down the road right here. All right, let's get into it. TRlPLEMANIA 31, the second phase. The first TRlPLEMANIA this year was in Monterrey, Mexico. Was it a couple months ago, I want to say? And now here we are, TRlPLEMANIA Tijuana. This is the second of 3 TRlPLEMANIAs this year. The next one's just right around the corner in about a month from Mexico City. But this one was a really excellent show from top to bottom. I really enjoyed myself on this one. No doubt about it. 15,386 very active wrestling fans at this show in Tijuana. It's always been a dream of mine to go to a Lucha Libre show in Tijuana. Maybe one of these times, make it out to California. If they keep it up, doing maybe a yearly TRlPLEMANIA in Tijuana, which seems very possible. In one of these years, I'll make the trip myself. The stadium was a baseball stadium and a pretty good crowd at that in Tijuana. Estado Chevron. I think maybe that's a Chevron gasoline, perhaps sponsoring the stadium. That would be my guess on the pronunciation of that. Biggest things to come out of this show was actually, one of the bigger things was after the show, there was a post-press conference on the field after TRlPLEMANIA concluded. And in that press conference, Kenny Omega was involved in it. There wasn't a storyline-driven attack by Konosuke Takeshita on Kenny Omega to set up, I guess, further promote Blood and Guts on Wednesday, coming up here on Dynamite just around the corner tomorrow, and probably a future match with Omega and Takeshita sometime down the road. I'm guessing maybe All In or All Out. Whatever the case, Takeshita's laying out Omega in this press conference. He's literally beating the shit out of him right on the baseball field. Don Callis is there. He we'll get into it in the main event, but he tried to manage El Hijo del Vikingo. It didn't go anywhere. It was an attempt at the beginning of the match, before the match even started. Conan put a halt to that, and that was that. So we knew Don Callis was there. Takeshita's laying out Omega. Don Callis gets a couple licks in a traditional scum heel manager form, and then at that point, things get really weird. And keep in mind, we're talking in Mexico here, between there and Puerto Rico, the two last vestiges, I guess, in the world that really take their wrestling seriously. Because what happened was a member of, it was what sounds to be, from what I read, a member of the security team that thought Don Callis was going into business for himself, perhaps as a wrestling fan, and he actually significantly attacked Callis in a shoot after this event. Callis had to go to San Diego, leave Tijuana to get medical attention, had some issues with his eardrum, and was scuffed up a bit and stuff, but all indications he seems to be okay. But wow, only in Mexico, folks, you see something like that. That's for sure. Another big thing that came out of this show after the fact was there was no Ray Phoenix on the show, despite Pentagon Jr. having a very significant match on this card against, of all people, QT Marshall of AEW in an ambulance match, which was a fantastic match. We'll talk about it in a moment. But Phoenix wasn't at the show. That was a little bit awkward and unusual. I don't know if perhaps he was originally booked to be part of the show, perhaps to be part of that match with Pentagon and QT Marshall. He wasn't there. And then literally, I believe the next day after TRlPLEMANIA, or perhaps it was 2 days after, it might have been yesterday, on Monday, Ray Phoenix vacated both titles that he owns, or have had since, I believe, last June. The Cruiserweight Championship of AAA and the Latin American Championship of AAA, which, again, I think he won these titles in a match at last year's TRlPLEMANIA, one of the events, or something around it, but maybe been Randy Reyes or one of those big events. He never defended the championship. Obviously, he's got a schedule in the States already. He doesn't really go back to Mexico to wrestle much, but whatever the case, he is kind of taking a break, in the very least, from AAA. I don't know if there's some bad heat behind the scenes, but he vacated both titles, so that'll be coming up in future AAA events. The Cruiserweight and the Latin American Championship vacated by Ray Phoenix. The other big take from this show was the Guerrero de Renaldades tournament. I probably absolutely murdered that, but that's the tag tournament where the losers of this match on this show, in this tournament, would go on to the next TRlPLEMANIA in Mexico City in a mask versus hair match. And either was going to be Sam Adonis and Psycho Clown, or LA Park and Roosh. Well, as it happened, there was a double pin in this match, declaring it a no contest, and the referee, as well as Conan and Storyline, etc., have decided that all four of these competitors are going to be in a single match at TRlPLEMANIA, and I'm presuming, by what I can understand from the broadcast, that the loser of the fall in this four-way match will either lose their hair or lose their masks. And you can take your pick on perhaps who that would be. My guess would be Sam Adonis, but we will wait and see what happens. But that should be a great match. If anything was any indication from this tag match, it more or less was a four-way match, because each team were fighting with each other more than they were fighting with their opponents. So it's a perfect segue, and I really think that's going to be a fireball of a match at the next TRlPLEMANIA in about a month from Mexico City. That about covers it from the numbers and the big takes from this show, so let's get into all of the matches. There was a solid, looking back here, we had a solid 7-match card. Really every match was pretty good for the most part. There was one match that kind of broke down because of an injury, and that was the match with Vampiro and Pagano. We'll talk about that in a moment, but what a mess that match ended up being. Announcing-wise was okay. Once again, Joe Dombrowski and Larry Dallas were via satellite back in the States doing kind of overdubbed commentary. So they muted the crowd kind of significantly. So you don't get that crowd effect as much on these shows with the American announcing. I'm damn near ready to just switch over to the Spanish commentary just to get more of a crowd noise and effect watching these shows. But for their credit, Dombrowski particularly did a great job talking about the storylines, talking about the competitors, explaining what was going on in the ring. When promos were even being cut, he got some sort of translation going. I don't know if he knows some Spanish, that'd be my guess. But good stuff on the announcing front. All right, opening festivities kicked off for TRlPLEMANIA Tijuana with the Tijuana Toros mascots in the ring doing a little choreographed situation to kick off the show. Then we got the military marching band. There was an air show going over the stadium. So lots of hoopla circumstance. The traditional AAA stuff when a show starts, they bring out the banners honoring Antonio Pena, and Pagano and Laredo Kid was out there with Marcela Pena to kick off the show, as AAA usually does with these big events. And to kick off the show with the Copa TRlPLEMANIA Cup matches, and essentially a Royal Rumble match. Kind of faster pace. They do take count the pinfalls, submissions. You can throw them over the top rope as well. Lots of American talent in this match as well. And the winner was La Hiedra, a woman wrestler who was aligned with Mr. Iguana. And Mr. Iguana significantly helped her win this match, including at the end. The last two were La Hiedra and her tag partner in La Toxica's Flammer. So we saw some hijinks at the end of the match. Mr. Iguana got involved and helped La Hiedra win this Copa TRlPLEMANIA Cup. First time that a woman has won this match. In the order of competitors, to kick it off, it was Gringo Loco and Jack Cartwheel as the first two. Great start to this show with those two competitors for sure. Then we got Mystices, Dinamico, Nino Hamburguesa, the big man, Willie Mack. Then La Toxicas came out together, La Hiedra and Flammer. Also, kind of, I guess, one of the surprises of the entire match was Rey Mysterio, El Heredero, who apparently is the legitimate son of Rey Mysterio Sr. Mr. Iguana was out in this match, Laredo Kid, Puma King, and Black Taurus as the finals competitor. Also in this match, Arcanus got involved and eliminated Mystices, so they're continuing on their feud. Antifaz came involved in this match and I think got into it with a called Laredo Kid, so that program continues. Puma King was the last three with the women of La Toxicas, and Puma King did get eliminated. Then we talked about that finish before, where La Hiedra, with assistance from Mr. Iguana, defeats her tag partner Flammer in the finals of this one. Match number 2, oh, by the way, 26 minutes and 55 seconds in that match. I gave it 3 1/4 stars. Match number 2, I went 3 stars on a 12-minute, 19-second match of the women trios, both Team AAA of Lady Shani, Sexy Star, and Galis, who is the wife of Negro Casas, went over the team of essentially Team USA here. Camille, the NWA Women's Champion, Natalia Makova from the NWA, and Viva Van of Las Vegas. Lots of other independent promotions for her. The match was fine. A little bit, kind of just there. I probably thought this was like the lowest point of the show. Really, it's kind of, it was just there. Finish, I believe, was Shani over Viva Van for the finish. And then afterwards, La Hiedra came in and raised all kinds of hell. There was a bunch of stuff also with El Hijo del Tirantes and Tirantes, the father and son referee team. And they got into this match. El Hijo del Tirantes was trying to help the heels, which was the American team, kind of win. Tirantes got back involved, helped Team AAA win. Here's we're going to have a match with father and son referees, probably maybe at the next TRlPLEMANIA event in Mexico City. Match number 3 was, well, it was okay for a while it was going, but then things started to get kind of weird in this match. The team of Mecha Wolf, Bestia 666, and Pagano went to a no contest with the team of Vampiro, Jack Evans, and Aramis. In 14 minutes and 2 seconds, I went 2 3/4 stars. This probably was, actually, I take it back, there was parts of this match that was definitely the low point of the show. There was a spot where Vampiro, who was already working really clunky, even as this match started, he has an ongoing storyline with Pagano, and Pagano thinks that Vampiro attacked him and all this stuff. Vampiro saying he didn't. This is how this program got going a little bit. Anyway, Pagano is trying with what to be a top rope leg drop onto Vampiro, and he just missed time the jump or something. But the dude ended up like pretty much falling right on top of Vampiro's neck and shoulder with his entire body, and Vampiro was fucked up from that spot. I think he either put his shoulder out of socket from the bump or something perhaps broke. He could have broken in maybe his collarbone. Haven't heard anything on an official update on what exactly is going on with Vampiro, but he was very immobile in the rest of this match, and the match just kind of broke down once that occurred. Vampiro and Pagano were still trying kind of wild spots given what he was going through. Long story short, there was a lot of run-ins in this match as well. Team of Erez and Commander, the AAA tag champions, ran in on La Rebellion, who, if you recall, are the NWA tag champions. So we might have either a unification match or titles maybe coming up down the road with those teams. Then also, Black Taurus showed up with a masked man who really ran roughshod on Pagano and Vampiro. And it was kind of revealed in this attack that these were the guys who really attacked Pagano in the storyline. So Taurus, and then the guy takes his mask off, and it's Quijano Jr. coming back. He's been gone for a while. I don't know where the hell he's been. But long story short, we got a new version of the faction Los Mercenarios. I can never pronounce that one. Los Mercenarios, I think. Something like that. El Tejano Jr. and Black Taurus reforming that faction. What a mess of a match this was, though, man. Match number 4 was really fun. It was an 8-man tag. Team Baja, which was captained by UFC fighter Brandon Moreno. And this was a team of Michael Milionaro, the original Psychosis, Ray Orus, Extreme Tiger, and Damian Say against Team Chilango, which is Team Mexico City. And this was the team of Daga, Negro Casas, Argenis, and Chessman. What a wild match this was. Micho, particularly and Negro Casas, were a focal point of this match. They were both bleeding. There was a lot of wild chair spots being done. The finish was basically Micho low blowing Negro Casas for the finish. And that it was a lot of other stuff going on in this match. Argenis got into it with this rapper named Asino, or Assassino, something like that. Brandon Moreno got into it a lot with Daga. In fact, he was doing a lot of pro wrestling spots in the middle of all this stuff, so that was kind of cool. Team Baja ended up winning. Like I said, Nicho, the low blow to Negro Casas, defeating the team of Chilango. I went 3/4 stars on this one. It was actually a pretty short match at 9 minutes and 29 seconds of time. And at the point of this show, I don't know if it was like kind of like a halftime thing or something like that, but this was the weirdest shit. So a bunch more of these like Toros mascots came out, and there was all kinds of dancers, and they were doing like men and women like just grinding on each other on stage, so like kind of exotic dancing going on with these mascots dancing with them. It's the weirdest shit I have maybe seen in quite some time on a AAA show, and that's saying a lot. Then we move into, wow, what a wild match this was, an ambulance match between QT Marshall and Pentagon Jr., the first ever ambulance match, and it felt like a special match. I felt like we were watching a Puerto Rico match more than a Mexico match in this one, because there was so much brawling out within the baseball stadium area. The ambulance was out there as well. There was set up, contrived staging areas that they were doing spots of near the ambulance, in the crowd. There was light bulb tubes in this match, which I did not expect. Both guys led buckets. QT Marshall was an absolute mess. He took a thumbtack bomb. He was all over the place in this match, and one of his better matches I've ever seen. And Pentagon, what can you say about him? I went 4 stars on this one, 18 minutes and 46 seconds. And believe it or not, QT Marshall defeated Pentagon Jr. after, like I said, a bunch of wild spots. There was a package pile driver attempted on 2 tables on top of each other. There was a light bulb shot near the end to Pentagon Jr., which pretty much put him away. There was just so much plunder in this match. Check this out if you haven't gotten a chance. This match was a fucking wild affair, for sure. And then we move on to the other match that was an absolute wild match for sure. The Guerrera de Ronaldades tournament match with LA Park and Rouge against Sam Adonis and Psycho Clown in a double pin. You can call it a no contest, whatever you want to call it. I would say for 75% of this match, Rouge and LA Park were brawling like crazy. Same goes for Sam Adonis and Psycho Clown. All of them were bleeding. All of them were a mess. There was one point they brought out a glass pane that Sam Adonis took a bump through. At that point, he was absolutely bloody. Just a fucking wild brawl of a match. I went 4 stars, 23 minutes, 38 seconds. Like I said, double pin. I believe, I think Park pinned Psycho Clown. And then I think Adonis pinned Park and Rouge pinned Psycho Clown, if I remember right. And that will lead to all 4 of them in a mask versus hair mask at the next TRlPLEMANIA in about a month. Then we get to the main event for the AAA Mega title in this rematch from Dynamite in March, I believe it was, where these guys tore the house down. Kenny Omega against El Hijo del Vikingo for the AAA Mega Championship. I talked about it at the outset of this rant. Don Callis tried to get involved in this match. No go. Conan stopped him, prevented him from giving any advice to El Hijo del Vikingo. So it was worked like a babyface versus babyface match for sure. And this match did not disappoint. I think I may have liked it even more than the Dynamite match. I went 4.5 stars, 18 minutes, 52 seconds. Kenny Omega did the job clean. Back to El Hijo del Vikingo in a fantastic match. Vikingo was once again doing wild spots. The finish was, like I said, clean with a 630. Vikingo got his signature spots on Omega near the end after a lot of awesome near falls and sequences between these guys. Check this match out. Frankly, I'll be honest with y'all, check out from Team Baja, that match onward. You will not be disappointed on this show. I went a solid A-, with the only issues on this show being probably the Vampiro match, and the women's match was a little bit of nothing. But otherwise, this show fucking hit, folks. TRlPLEMANIA 31 Tijuana. I'm already looking forward to TRlPLEMANIA 31 Mexico City coming up next month. And you know damn well I'll be doing a MEGARANT on that one. Oh yeah! Alright, stay tuned. We got another rant to go. MEGARANT style. Slammiversary from the weekend as well on Saturday. We're going to take a look back at the pay-per-view. There's been a lot of fallout and impact coming off this pay-per-view. And including, we're going to take a look at the Impact spoilers from the taping the night after Slammiversary. Right here at Wrestling Wednesday!